You want to be able to see the farm system's crop come up and contribute on a major league level in a good way, and that's what we're seeing.
You are listening to KC Sports Network, the #1 podcast network for today's Kansas City sports fans. With former players from your favorite teams, informed perspectives, and former insiders, this is the place for you. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, or on our YouTube channel, all over social media, or our morning newsletter, KCSN Daily, dedicated to your Kansas City Chiefs. KC Sports Network is proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
Josh, we are now going to read our prospects for the midseason rankings, number 30 through 6. So at the time of reading this, 10 through 6 isn't even out yet. We will release them before this podcast airs, so it should be, by the time you're listening to this, number 6 should be out. But here are prospects on our midseason rankings, number 30 through 6. Number 30, Tucker Bradley. 29, Samad Taylor. 28, David Sandlin. 27, Nate Webb. 26, Noah Cameron. 25, Brewer Hicklin. 24, Drew Parrish. 23, Will Klein. 22, Anthony Veneciano. 21, Andrew Hoffman. Number 20, TJ Sikkema. Number 19, Max Castillo. Number 18, Luca Tresh. Number 17, Peyton Wilson. 16, Beck Way. Number 15, Diego Hernandez. Number 14, Nate Eaton. Number 13, Carter Jensen. Number 12, Frank Mazzucato. Number 11, Asa Lacy. Number 10, Ben Caderna. Number 9, Alec Marsh. Number 8, Angel Zerpa. Number 7, Caden Wallace. And number 6, Jonathan Bolin. What I want to talk about now, Josh, now that we've read 50 through number 6, how do you feel like the farm system stacks up nationally against the league? And how do you feel the overall health of the farm system looks now that most of our top prospects have graduated to the big leagues?
Obviously, there's quite a downfall from where we started this year, and that's gonna happen when you have 6 rookies at any given lineup that you have on that big league club. It's gonna happen. I understand the vitriol and the anger that might happen among fans to not see their farm system ranking in the top 10, top 15, top 20. I understand it, but you also have to take it with the part where they're also just absolutely stacked with rookies in that major league club, which is what you want to see. I mean, you want to be able to see the farm system's crop come up and contribute on a major league level in a good way, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the dream realize that we've kind of been trying to warn fans about and tell them about the last few years, and it's really cool to see the overall strength and this I guess the health of the system. I've kind of been saying this. To me, it seems like there's a lot of potential. There is a lot of risk guys that if they pop, they're going to become top 100 guys. They're going to be the ones that are filling the holes in the few coming seasons, but they've got work to do. We've talked at length about Lacey. We talked about Marsh, talked about Veneziano. There's other dudes in the system that could be huge contributors to the major league level. Tyler Gentry, Michael Garcia. I mean, all these dudes are potential contributors, but there's just lacking in that top end talent at the moment. And those dudes could still be in the system. So they just got to be able to grow some of these plants that they've put in the ground and do something and fix some of these flaws and get these pitchers to throw strikes and get these hitters to make good contact, make line drive hits and stuff like that. So overall, it could be a lot better. It seems like there's a lot of risk, but in the end, it is a deep system still. I think that is still a thing, but just to what extent on a major league level contribution wise, it's going to be tough to see.
When I look at the list, there are 2 guys, and I haven't updated my personal top 100 in a while. So I'm pretty confident looking at other like big lists that this is about where guys would slot in. I would have Gavin Cross, and this might be, by the way, I'll release my personal list at some point. So this doesn't necessarily reflect the organization's list that we're going to release, but this is personally how I look at it. I think Gavin Cross is somewhere between a 50 and a 75 top prospect in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nick Lofton fits in the back 20, somewhere between 80 and 100, probably between 80 and 95 based on the looks that I've seen. So in my opinion, you have two guys who are legitimate top 100 prospects. I don't know if Drew Waters is ever able to get back on. Strikes out too much, doesn't hit for an insane amount of power. He's a very good role player. I think he's fine. I just don't know that he ever gets back on. I think Tyler Gentry is probably too old. I think Michael Garcia just doesn't hit for enough power.
Yep.
I think John Bolin is a little too old. I think Caden Wallace is 100% capable of being a top 100 prospect. Alec Marsh, again, probably too old, but I think talent-wise, very much capable. Ben Caderna, I think, is capable. Frank Mazzucato, Carter Jensen, very capable. So you have five guys in your system. Eric Pena, Junior Marin.
Yeah, I was going to say.
A little bit. So
yeah,
you've got guys in the system who really probably aren't that far away. Cross and Lofton, in my opinion, should be now. But if you look down the list at like Caderna, Mazzucato, Jensen, you've got a strong core. Oh, and Caden Wallace, by the way.
Yeah.
They're almost all of them in Columbia, except for Nick Lofton, who's in Omaha. The rest of that group is all in Columbia. And now you've got 6 years to get them to the big leagues. That's when this current wave would push out. So if I'm looking at the Royals farm system right now, without doing too much of a crazy deep dive, like you said, I'd probably have them somewhere between number 19 and number 23. They are certainly not a bottom 5 system. There's too much depth for that. In fact, when we were ranking guys, I'm like, man, Darryl Collins and Austin Charles didn't make our top 30. Like, these are two pretty good prospects to have in your system. Austin Charles was a borderline top 100 draft prospect this year.
Mm-hmm. I had him in my top 100 aggregate. Yep.
Yeah. But I also think when you look at the top of the system right now, there isn't that clear number one, which is ironic because almost everybody in the system ranked the same guy number one. But I don't think it's actually a consensus. I think there's actually a lot of debate about who's number one, and really all the way down to like number 5. You could like intermingle and intertwine depending on who you prefer, who you like. So
that got even muddier if you were including guys like Nick Prado, like Mike Massey, like those guys that you purposely pulled out just because you thought they had graduated, they weren't coming back. So it would have been even murkier if those dudes were still considered, and they are, like Baseball America. They're still considered prospect eligible, but it just gets a little murkier, and that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. And that's also why I want to talk about really quick Angel Zerpa and Nate Eaton's roles in our rankings. Is everybody would have had Prado and Massey top 3. I don't think it does any good to remind folks that they are still prospect eligible. But with Eaton and Zerpa's hurt. Eaton is number 14 on our list. I just wanted to give fans a look behind the curtain at the thought process. Where does Eaton fit in organizationally? Where does Angel Zerpa fit in organizationally? So that's why some big league players made it, some didn't, is just looking at it through a lens of organizational depth. Where do they fit in? How do they rank? Because Prado and Massey, you guys don't need us to tell you more about Prado and Massey. It's the guys who are a little more controversial, guys who are a little more discussion worthy that we wanted to keep in there. Really quick, Josh, let's do a little exercise. I want you to pick 3 players who did not make our top 30 this time, but that will be on our top 30 next midseason.
Okay. I got 3 dudes, and they're kind of a little bit different arguments for each one of them. First one, Brendan McNair, you had him on the show last week. I'm sorry. Great conversation with him. Love that episode. So if you haven't checked it out, bump it. And it's really, really good. I think his ceiling is definitely there. His floor is also very low. Last year he had 981 OPS in the complex league, currently regressing at the 814. But he was a shortstop, drafted as a shortstop, and is now moved over to third base. And everybody who's listening to the show has heard me harping about some kind of roster cornerstone third baseman. Maybe that's Brendan McNair. He's got the glove of a potential, like a past shortstop, and now he's kind of looking more like a power hitting profile hitter. So if they can turn him and get him to reach his ceiling, I'm very much in on McNair. I think he could start getting big time helium on our list for sure. And the opposite of that is a high floor, and that's Rivertown, in my humble opinion. I didn't really think much of him other than his awesome name from the draft last year. Great name. Went to Columbia this year, 137 WRC plus, 18 stolen bases, 12 home runs, projecting for a 15-20 season if he stayed there, but he was thrown to Quad Cities, kind of hovering around average at the moment. But I think he's just got an all-around tool set that kind of, raises his floor quite a bit. His ceiling is definitely more capped, but I do think that is a potential all-around skill set will be major league productive potentially if he gets that call. And then the wild card here, Eric Torres. You wrote him up in the rankings so far. 17-year-old, 5'10", 160. He was international signing last year for $500,000 in the 21 international signing bonus. Plays center field. I think he was also matched around left field a little bit this year as well in the Dominican League. So far, slashing 272, 378, 374, 14 bags stolen. So it doesn't seem like he's going to hit for a lot of power, but does have decent speed, good bat to ball, great on base. Scouts last year kind of saying he's built like Raul Mondesi Sr. And that got my that's not like a weird. It's not like saying, well, he's Ted Williams if he was also Mike Trout. Like that's not, that's a little realistic approach. And I kind of listen to those scouts a little bit more. If we're getting potentially Raul Mondesi Sr., I'm in on that. So those are the three dudes that we could be talking about this time next year, hopping into that top 30 with a little bit of helium and really being able to consider them as part of the future plans, in my opinion.
I cheated a little bit for my first one, and I went with our 32nd ranked prospect in Austin Charles. Mm-hmm. Again, it's low-hanging fruits, but Austin Charles, I went back. I was able to find a couple of videos of him pitching. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that it's ever going to work out for him hitting at the professional level, but the dude can chuck it. Holy cow. And it's like a beautiful over-the-top delivery with great extension. I'm all in on Austin Charles on the mound. I think, assuming we get to see him. Now, the problem with this is if they hide him in the Arizona League all year next year, then it's going to be hard for us to make that bump. But I think Austin Charles has a great chance to go from 32 to like 15 maybe if we get to see him in Columbia at any capacity. My second one, our 41st ranked prospect, Christian Chamberlain. Christian Chamberlain is filthy. You get him with the right development team, help him throw a few more strikes. Dominant left-handed reliever in the mold of like a Tim Collins, where he came up and just started shoving. Greg Holland, a little bit undersized, but the stuff was so overwhelming that it was closer stuff, right? So Christian Chamberlain, I think, even though he's a reliever, I think Christian Chamberlain is capable of being a top 30 prospect in the system. And then I'm going to go back to my guy, Chandler Champlain. Chandler Champlain, we had number 46. If he throws angry more often, I'd put him in my top 20 today. He was filthy on Tuesday night. The Royals don't have 10 pitchers in their system capable of doing that all the time. That was unbelievable. Got to see it more often. So I went with three guys whose last name all start with CH. Austin Charles, Christian Chamberlain, Chandler Champlain. I even get an extra CH on Chandler there. So, and Christian. 5 of them.
And you got Christian.
3 people and got 5 CHs out of that. That's wonderful. So good on me. Last comment on the rankings, Joshua. One player not in the top 20 who will be next midseason. So we're going to go a little bit higher ceiling here. Outside the top 20, into the top 20.
The absolute low-hanging fruit, and I am not above it, is Eric Pena. And it's for all the reasons you guys already kind of went through. 19 years old, kind of maybe hitting his stride. You guys Joe gave the sample size of August. I pulled out a sample size between the All-Star break and now. 120 WRC plus with a 222, 364, and a 426 slash line. Not really hitting for power, but he's getting gaps. So I'm into that. His walk rate is up 5.5%. His K rate is down 5.5% from his season paces. Might be figuring something out. Still just 19. Baseball Reference has his age difference relative to low A at still 2 years younger than everybody else in that league. So he's still got time to figure it out. He's got the tools that you would want that would absolutely skyrocket if he was even remotely doing. I mean, 120 WRC plus, if he's doing that, he's like perking some ears up and he's starting to, blip on some radars. And if he even takes a step further than that, then you start talking about top 100. You start bringing him back into the fold of future plans for the organization like he was prior to falling on his face since professional ball started. So Eric Pena is absolutely my answer, and I think he's the answer in that question.
My answer, our 40th ranked prospect, Junior Marin. Junior Marin had the best season by a Royals prospect in the DSL in a long time last year. He is 18 years old. He's come to the States, hitting in Arizona really, really well. He's hitting above 300 in Arizona. He's been outstanding. And when you watch his swing, bad intentions. That man wants to punish baseballs. I'm waiting for Junior Marin to get his shot in Colombia, because when he goes to A-ball, if he hits like this as a 19-year-old in Colombia next year, we're talking about a top 10 prospect in the system. He mashes baseball. So Junior Marin, obviously, any 18-year-old in Arizona, the volatility is just through the roof. But the ceiling on this kid is sky high. Again, one of the best seasons by a Royals prospect ever in the DSL. Came to the States this year and is still hitting. So really excited to see what he could do in Colombia next spring.
I want to piggyback off that real quick. 6'2", 240 as an 18-year-old.
He's
that
huge.
Dude, that's like Soler.
Yeah.
Like stole Soler's physique, and he's hitting line drives at a 29.8% clip.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, you can take that size with that line drive rate, and it is absolute nutso as far as ceiling goes. So give me Junior Marin. I'm into it.
Cannot wait to see him in Colombia next year. Really quick, the season's winding down, but if you're looking to take your crew out to the K this summer, be sure to check out our friends at ticketsforless.com. They have the best selection of tickets to all your favorite sporting events, concerts, and shows, including the Kansas City Royals. Tickets for Less never changes per ticket fees, saving you big time over the other sites out there. You can save even more when you use our exclusive partner code at checkout. Simply enter code KCSN22 when ordering your seats at ticketsforless.com. That's code, again, is KCSN22 at ticketsforless.com.